Greetings. Today is the final day of 2025. Happy New Year's Eve. And with today's last day of 2025, we have some interesting alignments that I think may portend what we can look forward to in 2026. I just find it interesting what the moon and just what some of the inner planets are doing today, kind of almost as a message to us. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Wednesday, December 31st, 2025. And so, first of all, just right around 2 a.m. Pacific time, the moon in Taurus joins up with Uranus. So we have that energy that we get every month of the moon joining Uranus in a conjunction, bringing in the planet of shakeup, of change, of unexpected developments. And so it could bring some reminders of what is changing, some unexpected developments, some surprises, thinking about how our lives are changing and maybe what needs to change to best support ourselves going forward, recognizing what doesn't work from the past as we go through these final weeks of Saturn and Neptune in Pisces and doing more of that work of releasing, of letting go, of moving on from what has worked in the past in that bigger picture. So today, the moon goes into Gemini. 5:12 a.m. Pacific time is when the moon shifts from Taurus and that practical earthy energy into Gemini, where we are focusing on thinking, but also communication, messaging. Mercury is the winged messenger. So Mercury brings information from where it is to where it needs to be. And Mercury is also about our voice and how we need to speak up and what we need to say and how we need to be heard. And so that is what I see as really interesting in the energies. And there are more layers to it that I'm going to talk about today. So, in the energies as we do this this New Year's ritual that we do, going from the year 2025 into the year 2026, of course, when that midnight bell hits will depend on your time zone, right? So it will be midnight at different times in different places, ironically. But so the moon will not be at the same point for everybody at the same time that exact shift happens, which is kind of interesting in itself. But at any rate, the moon is in Gemini. Not only that, but interestingly, it is forming some inconjuncts to inner planets, Venus, Sun, and Mars, which are all very close together within 3 degrees together. So the Sun together with Venus and Mars in Capricorn. And the inconjunct, now, a moon forming an inconjunct to planets is not something we normally talk about, or I normally talk about. It happens all the time. It's not unusual. And, we have squares and conjunctions and oppositions to talk about that generally make more of our daily vibe headlines, so to speak. But this inconjunct is interesting because it's the moon in Gemini and these Capricorn planets, Sun, Venus, and Mars. And so what I see there is that an inconjunct aspect, this is a waxing inconjunct, technical astro speak. You don't need to know if it's not your thing. But what that means is we're heading toward the opposition. And as we head toward that opposition, something is going to be revealed. Something is going to be crystallized or cemented or unveiled. And as we head toward that, we have this feeling of let's get it right. These are our last chances to make adjustments, to get on track, to be oriented in the ways we need to orient ourselves, or have the right attitude or approaches that will make the most of that upcoming opposition. So in this case, the opposition, will be a day or so. Well, it'll be a couple days later with once the moon goes into Cancer. So we're not talking about long time periods, but these geometric alignments to me have some significance. So that inconjunct of the moon to those three planets, and including the sun in Capricorn, is like, where do you need to get the messaging right? And what that says is, where do you need to find your voice, to speak up, to speak out, to say what you need to say, to find the words to say, to express what you feel and put it into words and communicate. So that Gemini moon needs to communicate, and it's with the Capricorn energy and the inconjunct energy. It's saying, what do you need to do to build that foundation? How are you through your communication making something real, making something solid, helping to ground it, helping it to be something that we can believe in and trust going forward, which Capricorn, is about building trust and foundations and something solid and bringing structure to the things we care about. So this interesting alignment is saying, how do you need to bring your voice to speak up about what you care about, to find the right words to say what you feel, and to have your voice heard? Who needs to hear it? Where do you need to share your thoughts, to communicate? How does that look for you? And I think this is interesting because it is the transition from 2025 to 2026. So we can think about this energy as sort of setting the tone for the upcoming year. How will this year 2026 unfold in ways that help us get clear about what we want to communicate and how we are building something solid and deepening our trust and our confidence in the process as we find those words to say what we need to say? So that feels really significant to me. And then we have another way that this theme is being underscored, and that is Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is in Sagittarius on New Year's Eve and in late Sagittarius. So it will be going into 29 degrees Sagittarius, and then on New Year's Day, entering Capricorn. So here's yet another way that we are looking at beliefs, looking at our ways of thinking, our ways of seeing things, our perspective, our worldview, our beliefs, our assumptions, and asking ourselves where we need to have the beliefs that are going to support us to make our dreams come true in 2026 and beyond. Now, coming back to bigger picture, and I shared about this in last Sunday's video, looking at Saturn and Neptune in Pisces and the upcoming Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries that will be in February 2026. And so we're planting the seed for a 35-36 year cycle of making dreams come true. So this is not just 2026. This is how are we going to do this work of planting seeds and then trusting the process of seeing them unfold over the next few decades. So for 2026, though, we have this specific a perspective that helps us think about this through the lens of speaking up, speaking out, being heard, finding the words, communicating. And so that could be in bigger ways. What do you need to share publicly? It could also be in private ways. What do you need to say in private moments, in the context of close relationships or family relationships, or friend relationships? How do you need to be heard? What do you need to say? Who do you need to say it to? How is that going to support the movement forward of something that will help your dreams unfold over the coming years? So Mercury finishing up its time in Sagittarius and then entering Capricorn on New Year's Day says, let's plant that seed of building. Let's think of ourselves as constructionists. I don't know if that's a word, but we can be the constructionists building the future, and building what we want to see unfold as the future, begins to reveal itself to us, right? It's always revealing itself to us. Every day we're stepping into the future. So we get to keep doing that. And we can think of ourselves as the creative forces that can help to this bigger picture of what we want to unfold over time. And so how are we being the constructionists? Through speaking up, speaking out, saying what we need to say, being heard, finding the right words, and sharing what we need to share. So Mercury is an interesting piece here. The inconjunct of the moon to the sun is an interesting piece. Venus and Mars, all in Capricorn, conjunct the sun, are also interesting pieces. And not only that, but there's one more, and that is that in 2026, so those are all happening like this week, right? That's just the New Year Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day kind of vibe, these things unfolding. That sort of give us a hint about how the year might look or feel or what the vibe might be. But bigger picture, Uranus went into Gemini briefly in 2025, and we'll go into Gemini again in 2026, where it will stay for 7 years, because Uranus spends 7 years about in a sign. So Gemini, Uranus in Gemini. What is Uranus about? Uranus is about shift. It's about change. It's about the future. It's about shakeup. It's about rebellion, revolution. It's about authenticity. It's about being who we are, not having to fit into a mold. And so how do we need to be who we are? Through expressing our voice, through sharing, through speaking up, speaking out, saying what we need to say, and doing so with the right words to the right people who need to hear what we have to say. And it's a two-way street. We also need to listen. So don't forget, Gemini is also about listening, because communication does not go only one way. So finding the right words, but also engaging your mind to listen, to process information, and to engage with thinking and ideas and problem solving. So I think that's kind of interesting as we look at the New Year's Eve and look back at 2025 and where we've been, what we've been through. It has been a very tumultuous, challenging year of change, of uncertainty, of a lot to work through, a lot to heal, a lot to focus on in terms of how we want things to be and where we have to let go of control. And so a lot of that shift and change from 2025. And now as we head into 2026, looking at new beginnings, really like get your boat pointed in the direction you want it to go. Because once that Aries, Saturn, and Neptune energy is there, there's going to be no stopping us. Things will be moving forward. So, in whatever direction you are pointed. So, use these next few weeks with Saturn and Neptune until Neptune on January 26th goes into Aries. That will be the first one after since 2025 when they went into Aries and retrograded back into Pisces. So once we have that, it's like there's going to be acceleration, there's going to be movement. So be pointed in the direction you want that movement to go. And that is what these last few weeks are about, is getting clear about what matters to you, what your dream is, what your hopes and dreams and visions for the future are, what you care about, what matters most to you, what gives meaning to your life. That is what will help you be pointed in the right direction. Thank you so much for being here on this journey with me. I'm excited to share with you throughout 2026. Things are exciting and moving in my world. You can get a mini reading for 2026 by booking some time on my calendar. The mini readings are $45, or you get $10 off if you are a paid subscriber at transformationalastrology.com, which there will be many more benefits for paid subscribers coming into 2026. Stay tuned for that. And for now, you can get your 2026 highlights, mini reading, your own highlights from your chart about what will be most important and significant for you personally. Thanks so much for being here and subscribing to this YouTube channel. I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow in 2026 and with more astrology for unshakable self-care. Bye for now.